crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning. Bix Weir, roadtoroot.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. All right, let's look at silver and gold manipulation. How are we looking today? Oh! They tried to slam silver down under 18 and it was brought back up. Who knows why, when, and where? They can press a button, click a mouse, and stick the price of silver at $0 or $1 million. Problem is they are not trading silver. No exchange on planet Earth. There's no physical exchange for silver, unfortunately. Why is this? Because they can't allow it to happen. They, meaning the controllers of our monetary system, the Fed, the U.S. Treasury, the BIS, they cannot allow silver and gold to be traded freely. So they rig the price every day with computer programs invented by Alan Greenspan in the 1960s. If you've been on the road to Ruta long enough, you understand what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go to roadtoroot.com and type in Alan Greenspan, type in market rigging, type in anything into the search function, and you'll find all the information you need. All right, but that doesn't help us today. Where are we today? You should have physical silver in your own possession. If you have gold, I would swap it out. 100 to 1 right now, gold versus silver. A little less than 100, maybe 95. Of course, you won't get that from a dealer. You'll get something less than that because there's less physical silver. These prices are completely made up. But now is a good time. Obviously, anything above, I would say, anything above 20 to 1 silver to gold ratio, you should swap all your gold for silver. If you love gold, that's great. When the silver to gold ratio goes where it should be, which is probably 4 to 1, maybe 1 to 1, based on the amount above ground. There's 6 billion ounces of gold above ground and 6 billion ounces of silver above ground in investable form. I mean, you can melt down candlesticks and all that crap. You can only get about 6 billion ounces. And same with gold, which is all locked in a vault. So why wouldn't you trade 1 ounce of gold for 100, let's say 90 or 85 or 80 or 70 or 60 or 50, it doesn't matter. Both the prices are rigged. Silver's just rigged more. And that's what's ending on the road to Ruta. All right, so yes, they tried to slam the price down below 18. Then they brought it up. Who knows who's actually got in charge? Probably Steve Mnuchin at the Fed. He was the head of computer market rigging at Goldman Sachs. That's why he's the head of the Treasury. This game is falling apart this year. I've told you guys this a million times. If you're new to silver, you lucky bastard. You didn't have to go through the last 50 years of silver price manipulation. You can buy at $18 and just sit down and watch it all happen throughout this year. Silver rising well above 100, well above 200, probably getting into $600 next year. If it was freely traded, that's the key. We need freely traded assets. These hyper-suppressed assets are a huge national security issue for the United States of America. Why? Because it's the United States of America and some foreign banks that are suppressing the price and controlling our system. You take that out, that simple cure of taking all the physical silver off the market, voila, you've got the death of a couple banks, and that's what implodes the system. A too big to fail bank is named too big to fail because if they fail, they take everything else with it. And those are the banks that are allowed to short. They're given a banking license, meaning they can create money 10 to 1 out of thin air and derivatives even higher, and then they're allowed to go rig markets. That is just insanity at its finest. Go to the Instagram, Bix Weir Instagram. The page is running to listen to our discussion on fractional reserve lending. Oh, by the way, on the page just posted a new video on the Instagram channel right here. And I like this one. Just click on it and we talk about the problems. All the problems we're having in the world can be solved by getting rid of the core of what they control us with, fiat money. So go to roadtoroot.com or go to Bix Weir Instagram, click on the video. There's such division in the populace now of, Democrats and Republicans and right and left and Black Lives Matter and all these different things that are just fighting each other so much.
the basis of all these problems is the continuation of a fraudulent banking system. Problems we have.
And so go check it out. It's good. And Instagram, make sure you follow the Bix Weir Instagram page. Paige is doing a great job. Good job, Paige. And tomorrow, we will be talking about rehypothecation. I know a lot of people are confused about what rehypothecation is. She's going to help explain it to the world and ask me some questions. I still have issues and questions around what, people love to throw out that word rehypothecation, but where does it come from? What does it mean? Paige is going to explain all that to you, so check out Instagram. That gets posted tomorrow. All right, back to silver. I want to talk about where we are. Silver's at $18.30. That went down to $18 last night because, I don't know, Mnuchin had a hissy fit. Here's where the real guts of it happened. Yesterday on the Comex, it looks like about 75,000 contracts, low to medium for the beginning of the month. It's not bad. But 75,000 contracts, 350 million ounces traded hands. Yesterday, supposedly, it's all crap. It's all electronic bullshit. 350 million, that's half. It's a little under half of the total mine supply trades hands in a day. That's bullshit, that's fraud, that's the world we live in. The interesting thing is where we stand on the deliveries for July. 434, let's see here, total volume, hang on. No, that's Comex volume. Let's look at this one. We had a jump yesterday. Usually the first 2 days of the month, you get the most delivery notices of the delivery month. So July is a silver delivery month. Biggest ever was Monday, or was the 29th with 11,458 contracts. And then it went to 810, 744, 28, and then a jump on yesterday of 213. That's 1 million ounces of physical silver. I know we like to talk about, well, what do you mean, Bix? It's 350 million ounces traded yesterday. That's all electronic bullshit. This is actual physical delivery. 1 million ounces of silver. That's a hell of a lot of silver. That's truckloads of silver traded hands, traded ownership, theoretically. Who knows what really went on, but hey, that's what we got, and we can break it down. Here's who's playing the game. The people who stopped, meaning they're the ones who said, okay, I want to take my silver. Goldman Sachs, obviously for their house account. 40 contracts. The other big ones are Macquarie and Bank of America. Interesting. Morgan Stanley. JP Morgan, of course. They also had to deliver some because somebody didn't have their silver. So they delivered 20 contracts and they stood for delivery on 69 contracts. ABN AMRO was the big payout along with ADM. Why are these banks in commodity markets is anybody's guess. But they had to pay up 80 contracts, 80 times 5,000. And ADM, 112 contracts. ADM, aren't they I guess they do all commodities, but mainly wheat, I think. Anyway, yes, the deliveries are continuing to grow. We're at 13,253, which is 66,265,000 contracts have been delivered. That's an astonishing number. And it's still, look at the open interest still for the July contract, 3,401 are still remaining. That's 17 million more ounces that could be tacked on top of the 166, which was 83 million ounces would be, I believe. Now, on the data we have, that's the largest delivery month of silver ever. And the price of silver hasn't done anything. And massive amounts of silver going into ETFs. And the price of silver is not allowed to move. Why? Because it's rigged. I hope everybody understands that it's rigged. So yeah, the deliveries are still going on, gangbusters. Here's the big thing. August is not a delivery month, but September is. And look at the open interest in September. 134,377. 134,377. Let's do the math. 134,377 times 5,000. If that stays, it won't. It usually goes down near the end of the month as people roll over. I don't know how many people are going to want to roll over. They're going to have to be rolling over after the election, after the chaos, after the end of the fiscal year. But that's 671 million ounces of physical silver for the September contract that could be claimed for delivery. That no one in the world has that, not even JP Morgan anymore, after they've leased out probably about 300 to 400 million ounces of silver out of their stash of about $1 billion. So that's basically all of JP Morgan silver, and that's the last potential stockpile of silver, not counting the rehypothecation of SLV, which I will talk about tomorrow in Paige's Word Wednesday. So join Instagram, follow Instagram. There you have it. All right, so that's what's going on with silver. We're at 13,253, which is 66 million ounces of physical silver has stood for delivery. Again, the largest on record. Ted Butler seems to remember back when the Hunt brothers got busted for trying to crash the silver market, they had stood for delivery on 15,000 contracts, which obviously is huge, 750 million ounces. That's why the government came in and took them down. And it was a government takedown. They changed all the rules on the Comex, and within 2 months, silver went from 50 down to 20. Thank you, government. Thank you, Mr. Government. And the bad guy cabal. Hunt brothers tried to take him down. It didn't work. And again, we got your normal names: JP Morgan, Citigroup, Goldman. Normal criminals. Speaking of criminals, Deutsche Bank fined $150 million over Epstein links, other lapses. The Epstein situation is knee-deep in the criminality, in the money laundering, in pedophilia, in bank fraud, in Israeli Mossad action. Yes, the Israeli Secret Service was behind what was going on with Epstein. It's pretty scary. Deutsche Bank knew all along what they were doing, 100%. It's part of the criminal cabal. They claim, oh, well, we didn't know our KYC wasn't as strong as it should have been. That's bullshit. That's the same thing that JP Morgan declared when they were found to be the only banker for Bernie Madoff. Anyway, New York regulator issues fine in part of Deutsche Bank's relationship with banks embroiled in money laundering scandals. Everybody knew it. Everybody knows it. I've been screaming it for 20 years. Why are the regulators coming in now? New York's financial service regulator on Tuesday fined Deutsche Bank AG $150 million for failing to properly monitor its dealings with late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The fine, the latest in a series of run-ins with U.S. regulators for the German lender, was also in part for Deutsche Bank's correspondent relationship with two European banks embroiled in money laundering scandals. All of them are connected. The bad guys, it's one big club, and they're all criminal. Correspondent banks serve as intermediaries in international transactions, handling transfers for other banks doing business in countries that they have limited operations. The regulator's penalty comes a year after Mr. Epstein was arrested on sex trafficking charges. He died by suicide in custody, yeah, right. Roughly a month later, forcing the government to end its prosecution of him. Last week, authorities arrested and charged Ghislaine Maxwell. See, if Maxwell wasn't arrested and charged, the regulators wouldn't have done anything. They would have let Deutsche Bank get off scot-free. A longtime confidant of Mr. Epstein. No, she was the controller of Epstein. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was probably one of the highest up in the Israeli Mossad. Anyway. You notice that they don't mention anybody going to jail here for money laundering 150. No, this is much bigger. Only the fine is $150 million. It's ridiculous. Pay a fine and you don't go to jail. Hey, Mr. Banker. The New York Department of Financial Services penalty comes after Deutsche Bank received a fresh rebuke from the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve is the overseer of the banks. The Federal Reserve should be put in prison. The whole system should be flushed down the toilet. I know. I know everything about the Fed, their darkness and their light. There's both things going on in the Fed. There are criminals within the Fed, and then there are good people within the Fed, even today. We acknowledge our error on onboarding Epstein in 2013 and the weakness of our processes. This is interesting, 2013. What happened? They got handed the criminality from another criminal bank. I'll show you in a second. Deutsche Bank played a key role in Mr. Epstein's finances in recent years, helping him move millions of dollars in cash and securities through dozens of accounts. Now here we get to the good stuff. Mr. Epstein's relationship with the bank picked up pace in 2013 after J.P. Morgan Chase dropped him as a client over reputational concerns. Mr. Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida case in court in 2008 to soliciting prostitution from an underage girl. So we're to believe that J.P. Morgan dropped the relationship over reputational concerns. And Mr. Epstein pleaded guilty in Florida state court in 2008. So it only took them 5 years to do something about it. Clearly, they weren't worried about their reputation. As a matter of fact, what was J.P. Morgan doing in 2013 that made them give up Jeffrey Epstein and the deep state cabal? Oh, here we go. On January 7, 2014, after a year or two of investigation, U.S. Attorney and FBI Assistant Director in Charge announces filing of criminal charges against and deferred prosecution agreement with J.P. Morgan in connection with Bernie Madoff's multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. So in 2013, it wasn't the reputation of Jeffrey Epstein, because they knew that in 2008. It was that they were getting busted for the Bernie Madoff, which are all connected, all together. That's the deep state. That's the battle. J.P. Morgan criminally charged with 2 violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. Charges to be deferred for 2 years under an agreement requiring J.P. Morgan to admit to its conduct, pay $1.7 billion to victims of Madoff's fraud, and to reform its anti-money law. That's bullshit. Nobody went to jail. Jamie Dimon and the board of J.P. Morgan knew they were Bernie Madoff's only banker. $65 billion Ponzi scheme. They were the only banker for Madoff. They were involved. Nobody went to jail. Jamie Dimon had to sign off on these transactions. This is how deep and criminal this system is. So the fact that Deutsche Bank's getting busted now, whoop-de-doo, they get to pay $150 million to walk away scot-free. I'm sure they made billions of dollars on all the sex-related, deep state-related transactions. Billions of dollars. So $150 million fine, no big deal. But interesting that it's coming out now, that the Southern District Attorney General got booted. Thank God. Could things be happening? Well, they are happening. But why didn't anybody go to jail with the Deutsche Bank fine? Why didn't anybody go to jail when J.P. Morgan and the whole board of J.P. Morgan knew what Bernie Madoff was? A deep state Israeli Mossad money laundering operation. And it wasn't $65 billion, it was more like $500 billion. That's what we're dealing with. It's a big monster that we're trying to take down. It's crazy. All right. Once again, don't forget, tomorrow we will be posting the Word Wednesday, and it's going to be rehypothecation, understanding rehypothecation, and Paige is going to help explain that to the world. So go to Instagram, Bix Weir Instagram, and you'll see my picture, and watch the videos that are up there. They're very good. If I do say so myself for Paige. All right. Also, roadtoguru.com. Don't forget to subscribe today. Get your hands on the #1 best crypto in the world. They actually do something. And the key to the Theta token is that regulators can't touch them because they never ICO'd. They were about to ICO and they never did. All those cryptos that ICO'd will have to explain to the regulators why. Just look at what happened to Reggie Middleton. Yes, Veritasium's up like 50%. Only because it fell a hell of a long way. No, I haven't sold my Veritasium. I'm holding on to it for the moral issues related to the criminal SEC charges. And I do believe Cliff High's data will be correct. Reggie invented a fix for our current exchanges using Veritasium as a peer-to-peer transaction process. And right now, 98 million Veritasium tokens are frozen with nothing being said about it. So could they be implemented to fix our current rehypothecated system with multiple people owning multiple shares? It could happen. It's a lottery ticket, but Theta is more like a sure thing. Theta is going to change the way the internet works, not just broadband, but the way the whole internet works. Decentralized internet. It is awesome. It is amazing. Already Samsung's going to put it on all their devices. Embed Theta into all their devices for broadband. The more I study, and I am in the deep midst of studying, I'll talk about this for the private road members. The more I study what's going on with 5G, the more I understand that it has to happen, but it can't happen without Theta. Or something very much like Theta, and Theta is definitely the number one contender in this space. To get your Theta loaded on a paper wallet and sent to your front door, join the private road at roadguru.com or Renew and join in the fun. I will be posting later this week a deeper analysis of where we are with Theta. And yes, it is absolutely time to buy. I am on the Michelle White Dove bandwagon that Theta will go over $1,000 per token. $1,000 per token. Over time. Won't happen overnight. So basically, I'm giving away $100,000 plus with 100 Theta and 100 Theta fuel. No, that is not guaranteed. But join the private road, and I'll mail the Theta to your front door. This is Bix Weir, roadguru.com. I'll talk to you later.